So we grew up in like in West London. Like how would you say your like personal experience with like racism was growing up there?
I don't really have like much experience with racism growing up, or maybe I was just oblivious to it. Because where I live in like kind of Notting Hill area, it's heavily there's a lot of Caribbean people there, basically. Obviously, that's where Carnival is, etc. So many Caribbean people. So for me, I never saw myself like, some kids grow up looking at themselves like, oh, I'm black, like confused, and just they feel inferior sometimes. I didn't grow up like that. Like I had no idea of any kind of injustices and stuff. Even like school was fine, got all my GCSEs, everything was fine. I found that it was only when I started to get older I noticed problems with race. And my first ever experience that I remember was when I went out with my friends, like me and a group of girls, we must have been maybe like 16. We went to Chinatown, and this was actually racism from Asians, not even white people, funnily enough. We went to a Chinese restaurant. And usually at buffets, like you eat and stuff, and then you go and pay afterwards. And they made us pay beforehand, and we thought, oh, why do we have to pay beforehand? But we didn't look into it too much. But then we sat down, we started eating, and then I'm seeing like white people walk in, and they're not paying. And I was like to my friend, like, why is no one else having to pay? Why did they make us pay beforehand? And then my friend kind of thought I was looking too deeply into it, but I kept watching, and I just kept seeing people not paying, and I was like, no, this is weird. So then I saw at first I thought maybe it's because we're young, you see a bunch of 16-year-old girls, you're like, oh, they're going to do something silly, so make us pay. But then I saw a mother, like she looked maybe in her 40s or so, with her daughter who was in her 20s, and they were both black, and I thought, I'm going to go and ask them if they've paid. So I went to them, I said, did you pay for your food beforehand? They were like, yeah. So then I thought, no, so it's not about age, you're just picking out the black people. Then I went to a white man, 2 white guys, did you pay? No. And I was like, no way, I couldn't believe it. I said, this is definitely about race. And me and my friends were so angry, just left the shop from that point. And then the other time when I've experienced it was only recently. So this must have been maybe a month or 2 months ago. No, it was probably a month ago. Went out for drinks with my friends. One was Asian, one was black, one was white. Now, this is like the angry black woman narrative that's come out. And the funny thing is, anybody who knows me knows I'm the most chill person in the world. I don't get angry easily. Yeah, I'm very chilled. So when someone tries to make out like I'm angry, I'm like, what the hell? So anyway, I'd asked the waiter for something. He didn't get it. Then I asked him again. He didn't get it. Then when I was on my way to the toilet, I basically got like the manager, and I was like to the manager, I've asked this man for something twice now, and he just hasn't brought it for me, and it's quite unprofessional. And I said, like, I've been a waiter before. I understand it's busy and there's things going on, but I've actually had a job as a waitress, and I never forgot people. Like, if you'd asked me twice, that's it. I'm coming. Do you know what I mean? And there was a white guy who was sat on the table behind us, and he was standing there, and he was like, oh, don't be mean to him. Da, da, da. And I'm like, I'm not being mean. Like, I'm just expressing that I want my food and my drink. Like, you know what I mean?
Service, like,
yeah.
Service. You shouldn't be waiting long for your food to come.
Exactly. So after that, I went straight to the toilet. Come back out, and then the white guy was with like his girlfriend and someone else, and he was going. So then he said bye to me and my friends, because he was talking to one of my friends. And then I was like, oh yeah, bye, like being all nice and stuff. And then my friend was like, don't say bye to him. And I was like, why? And she was like, because he's just come out, and he just said how you went up to the manager, called the waiter a wanker, and told him that so rudely that you want your food right now. And I was like, what? Why would you make that up? Do you know what I mean? Why would you do that? And it's
weird to me. I don't understand that.
Yeah, and it was crazy. It was crazy because he didn't go to talk to my black friend about it. I was with 4 girls. He went to my white friend. So he thought, yeah, let me go to the white girl and tell her what her black friend's been doing. And I'm thinking to myself, like, where does this even come from? So when she said that, I was like, why am I even saying bye to this guy? Why am I even being nice to this guy? It makes no sense. And then I didn't understand why he would create a false narrative as well. It just showed me, like, anytime like a black woman just wants to express like any kind of annoyance that someone else could express, a white woman could have done that and they wouldn't have got that kind of response. But because I'm black, suddenly it's that I'm being aggressive, I'm being angry, when I literally spoke to them in this exact manner. Didn't raise my voice, nothing, didn't swear. So I was just so confused. But Yeah.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me that they just with this put out this false narrative and these lies upon you just because you're a black woman. Like,
You know what I mean?
makes no sense. It just like the whole that whole angry black woman thing. Like, I don't understand. It makes no sense to me. Like, why you put every black woman in the category of being angry all the time. Like, just where did that
Exactly.
come from?
And that was the first time I proper like experienced that. Like that's when I really, especially because I drank a little bit as well. I got really emotional at that moment. I was really like, wow. I started retracing it. Like, did I say something? Like, I didn't swear at all. Like, he specifically said I said wanker. Like, I was like, where does this come from in his head? It didn't make any sense to me. So I was just like, wow, it has to be a race thing. And then, yeah, you've spoken to my white friend about it. And the thing is, after that, like, it showed me there's some people who actually, you know, there's white people out there who aren't stupid, basically. My friend, she was so apologetic afterwards because she said when he came and he was telling her all of this rubbish, she was just like, oh, like, really? Like, she was just kind of, you know, dismissing it. And she didn't really, like, call him out. But only till I came out and I was able to defend myself, she was like, I'm so sorry for, like, not defending you. Like, she was proper apologizing to me and stuff. But yeah, it just had me thinking, I don't understand why people want to create, like, arguments out of nothing. And it was not his business. Me getting my food was 100% not his business. He brought himself into it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, like the whole sense of almost like gaslighting in a way to like make it seem like you did something wrong when like they were always in the wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm kind of feeling as well, because you mentioned that, oh, like, did I do something wrong? What did I do?
Yeah.
So this whole like mind and this mental manipulation almost, but it's just like the racism is it's just out of hand. And it's the same thing with me. Is like when I was younger, like you don't know whether you're just oblivious to it or you're just too I don't know, naive, or you're just young enough not to realize. But I feel like kind of when you start to explore the world a bit more, and you start to go out a bit more, you start to see like all these different things, you kind of take it in. And it's interesting, the first story you mentioned about where it was an Asian that was being racist. I think that's another thing that's not spoken about enough, because a lot of times you speak about race, people always feel like it's just white on black racism, but a lot of times it actually is Asian on black as well. And yeah, I don't think that's being spoken about enough too.
And that's why I kind of feel like that the to say BAME, I think, doesn't really make any sense. At first, I was using that phrase a lot, and then I actually thought about it. It's true, like you're saying, black and other ethnic minorities doesn't make any sense, because those minorities are also racist too. Like, everyone's racist towards each other. Even within Asia, Asians are racist to each other as well. Like, if you look in Asian media, it's always the fairer skinned people, when there's a lot of dark skinned people. Like, you wouldn't think there's people in India who's darker than me. There's people all in these countries that are... Yeah, exactly. So to me, it doesn't make sense for us all to be in the same category, because it kind of separates white people and puts all of the other ethnics like in one group, when there's racism and colorism within that group as well. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and also the word BAME undermines the other like ethnic groups as well. So how do you have black and then other ethnic minorities? So it's just a term that I guess is used within the government, the system, and then the media, just to put a nice kind of bow on it. So it's kind of easier it's more palatable for the wider society to kind of understand, isn't it? But yeah, also the colorism issue, I think it's a worldwide thing as well, especially in the black community. Everywhere, I think, it might be even more prominent, in Africa and the Caribbean, but even over here, like, you have this whole colorism thing with if your skin is lighter, you're more beautiful and you're more attractive or whatever. So is that something that like it's kind of affected you in your personal life, or is it something that you've seen, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think like growing up, it's funny because did you see those Nella Rose tweets that came out, and it was like she was being colourist when she's dark skinned herself, and I understood why she didn't get like completely cancelled for it, because I feel like, I don't know if this was just my personal experience, but when I was in school, like colorism was completely normal, 100% normal. Like, I'm so glad things are changing now, but when you're a kid and something's just so normal, you kind of just go along with it as well. And it had me thinking, if I was to go back in my Facebook from like how many years ago, I probably said some stupid crap that is cussing myself as well. Do you know what I mean? And I just feel like in terms of me, colorism, it's never really affected me because I've never felt like insecure within my skin. I think personally, like some people even now are colorist. Like, actually, I can't speak about that one. But yeah, like I just within the black community, I don't, the whole bleaching and stuff, I really don't agree with bleaching.
But when you said some people now are still colorists, you mean as far as they were colorists when they were younger and still now as an adult? Or
yeah, like sometimes you try and educate people on things, and they continue to do it, and they don't even realize they're doing it sometimes. Like, oh, whoa, he's really dark. Like, what do you mean? Like, I've never heard someone say, oh, like, she's really light. It's always, oh, they're so dark. Oh, I can't even see him in the dark. I can't, you know what I mean? But it doesn't make any sense. And I'm loving, like, I love social media. I love and hate social media because I love the way black people are being uplifted so much. Like, I wish when I was in school, people made like being black so desirable as they do now, because I'm seeing so much about melanin, so much praising for black women, especially because I feel like black women have just been like pushed aside a lot. I think I'm just very lucky that I'm a resilient person, because if in school I let all the things I saw around me affect me, I'd be very, very insecure. But because I'm quite resilient, I kind of pushed a lot of things past me, especially in my secondary school. Like, I didn't experience colorism, but I did have like a lot of kids say things like, I was the only, not the only, but in my year there wasn't many like Caribbean girls. All the black people were basically African, or basically me, I was just stereotyped a lot for being from the Caribbean. I think there was no more than like 5 Caribbean people in my year. So it's always like, oh, what, Maiya, like, you eating jerk chicken today? Like, jokes like that, stupid jokes like that. And when I was a kid, I used to just kind of like brush past it. But now I kind of look past, like, why did I brush past that? That was actually not funny. Like, you don't need to, even though it's a stupid little joke, but it's still like, it's things like that. Like, for someone who doesn't have like self-esteem or whatever, it could actually affect them. So yeah, I think for some people, for the younger generation, seeing like them being uplifted on social media is really good. And for me, I always say like, my future children will be black, and I'm always gonna tell them how beautiful they are, always, because I feel like they need that, especially in school. Kids can be so mean. They're young, but they can be mean, especially if they're listening to what their parents are telling them. So
I think that's really important to champion and uplift your kids about how beautiful they are, because like at such a young age, like they're like a sponge, innit? So they can just absorb anything, and it could just affect them differently, especially in school. Got a lot of bullying, and you got a lot of jokes flying around, and they might not have like thick skin, maybe like yourself, to kind of cope with that. So it could really affect them now and then in the future, and then the outlook on things. But I was interested to hear you say about you being kind of mocked for being Caribbean, because usually it's like you being mocked for being African, and that was kind of looked down upon, and a lot of people were even afraid to admit that they were African because of it. So a lot of them would even pretend to be Caribbean.
Yeah, I remember
so
that.
There's a whole lot of that really in this. But yeah, no, with social media as well, like I feel like it definitely is key, like kind of this movement of, you know, black love, and just this melanin love, and just this whole kind of just embracing like who you are in it and how you look, and it's wonderful to see. But that, I would say, is more prominent on social media, but do you feel like that's also bleeding over into real life? Like, do you feel like that type of energy that you see on social media about black love is actually, are you seeing that in real life as well?
Not in my area anyway.
No.
I'm seeing it within myself and the people that I'm around. But when I look at like the black people like in a community, I feel like there's a lot of segregation. People don't want to people don't even smile at each other. Do you know what I mean? Something so simple like a smile can make someone's day. People don't really do that. And I just find that it's more like, I even shared a post like that on Instagram actually. Like it's attractive to talk about black power and being very pro black online, but in real life, what's happening? Do you know what I'm trying to say? For me, regardless of anyone's race, I'm always gonna have good energy, always gonna want to socialize with people. And I find that a lot of people are afraid to share their opinions as well. Like, for example, I don't know, if someone says something that I find disrespectful towards me or I find racist, I'll call them out there then on the spot. And I find that a lot of people are actually afraid to do that and would actually turn to social media instead. But I think there's just a lot of work that needs to be done in the black community in general. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a matter of us as individuals deciding to unite. Because when I look at some communities like the Asian community, specifically like the Filipino kind of community, I find them so beautiful. Like they're so like in touch with one another. Like they all there's especially when I used to go to church. I don't really go to church as much now, but there's like a Filipino community at my church, and they're all so lovely. All cook food together, bring it in, share it with everyone. It was so so much unity between them. And I always thought I don't really have unity with other black people unless they're my family. Do you know what I mean? Or just the odd neighbor here and there. But I think it would just be so beautiful if we actually all, I don't know where it stemmed from. It seems sometimes there's a competition. I don't know. Do you know what I mean when I say that? It's very strange. But I just wish everyone was just nice, uniting each other.
Of course. I think that's what we're kind of striving towards, isn't it? And I feel I know it sounds kind of typical to say, but I do feel like it did stem from slavery and all of that, kind of seeing each other as enemies rather than as family almost. So and then over the years of kind of mentioned before, segregation. It's people just, and even with social media as well, there's not too much face-to-face interaction anymore. Everyone's kind of relying on social media to get their thoughts and opinions out instead of kind of celebrating in person. So I think a lot of that has created a divide, and then also kind of what the system and the media have been relaying is kind of when you see another black person, instead of you seeing them as friendly and happy, you kind of see them as maybe a potential threat almost. So it's kind of it's created people to make this. It's forced people to create this shield almost of toxic masculinity and kind of, I gotta act hard, or I can't show myself as being vulnerable because that's gonna ultimately diminish my character that I've been portraying to maybe my friends or whatever, isn't it? So it's just all putting on this image for what really kind of we need to kind of go back to the basics and ask real questions why are you doing what you're doing? It's even if you ask gang members or whatever, it's you're beefing over a postcode you don't even own, and you're why? You got to kind of ask why. And obviously, if it's something that you're in, it's harder to get out because you're in it, and then you might have grew up in it, so it's not it's easier said than done. But at the same time, it's also good to ask these questions, isn't it? Because it could be something that maybe not today they'll realize, but maybe they might realize, hopefully before it's too late. Almost.
And that kind of reminds me of that book I read. It's called The Making of a Slave by William Lynch. That book. Oh my gosh! When I read the first, page, and I was oh my God. And then I couldn't read it anymore, and then I continued afterwards. But when you actually see him break it down, like separate the light skins from the dark skins, separate the mothers and the fathers, like I really thought, wow, he really, like, it's actually happening right now. It's exactly what happened. It's almost like creating colorism, having the light skin slaves in the house, having the dark skinned ones outside. It's kind of like it's still stuck in some people's minds, and it's sad, really.
Yeah, it's like it's just been repackaged, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's the same thing. It's just repackaged to fit, just contemporary times, isn't it? But yeah, I feel like it's just I'm just a guy that always wants to like find a solution to these things, but like it's obviously not an easy feat, and I feel like definitely unification is something that's fundamental at the moment, because I feel like, especially with our community that was ripped away from us, like you had like the Jewish community and the white community and generational wealth and businesses from centuries ago, but like we're kind of just building our way back up. Even we had like Black Wall Street that was destroyed, so it's like even every time we try to build something, it just gets destroyed. And now we're just seeing each other as competition. Even like myself as a young creative, it's good to see and interact with other young creatives that don't just see me as competition, but want to work together to create something bigger, isn't it? So I feel like definitely more of that is needed.
Yeah, and I think once you start putting that energy out there, it comes back to you as well. That's what I've come to realize, because I've always been quite like a reserved, kind of quiet person, and I noticed because I've got such a serious face as well, it kind of makes people shy away from me a bit. So I've kind of been working a lot more on actually just showing love to people who I don't know, like just a smile, just like, just trying to interact with people, get to know them. Instead of standing in a corner when I'm somewhere, I'll actually actively go to someone, hi, you're right, speak to them. Because I find that once you put that energy out there, a lot of people are actually very receptive towards it. Like people aren't as scary as they look, if you know what I mean. Like I've always kind of been quite a shy person, but recently I've been putting myself out there a bit, and you find that all this time we're all seeing each other as competition, like, when really it's all love, do you know what I mean? You just got to show it, and then you'll get it back.
Like even on my way here today, I walked past like these two black men, like come probably my age, maybe a little bit older, and then I just smiled at them. I was like, yeah, you good, you alright? And they was like, yeah, I'm cool. So like everything's all good. And before I said that, they must have had like a screw face or whatever. And I said, no, actually you're alright. So it's like sometimes that's all that's needed to just for somebody just to reciprocate, just positive energy.
Yeah, exactly. And you make people feel stupid as well. Like when someone's trying to come, like, with an angry kind of vibe, and you're just smiling, like this is completely different. But I remember one time when I was at work, there was a customer, and she was just so angry. Like I could just tell she was just so angry, and I just kept smiling at her. I was like, "Good morning, how are you?" Like And once you do that, like that you basically just block that negative energy from you, and they kind of feel stupid afterwards as well. Because what are you angry about? It doesn't make any sense. Smile. So yeah.
What's your thoughts on like cancel culture? Especially you did mention like Nella Rose and how she didn't get cancelled. So like, as far as cancel culture is concerned, is it like dependent on who the person is, what they say, what it's about, or just all of these things into one? Like from like what you see, and like what do you believe it is?
I think it all depends really on what's being said. First things first, I don't know who has got the time to be searching through these people's tweets like this. I find it absolutely crazy. I'm wondering who is doing it. That's number one. Number two is, a lot of the time, this may be an unpopular opinion, but this is my personal opinion. A lot of the time, people are going back to tweets, especially like Nella Rose's situation. They're going back to tweets of things that people posted when they were like 13, 14, 15 years old. They're young, they're stupid.
There was a whole trend with that. So even around the same time, they were searching other people's tweets.
Yeah.
Even one of my friends was digging back up old tweets as well, as a joke. But
oh my
obviously
God.
you didn't find anything.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when you're young, you're stupid, you're just saying whatever, you want to please your friends, you know, like people are young. So when I see people getting cancelled for things in their 20s, like they said when they were really young, I think to myself, like, I don't think that's fair, because I'm a genuine believer that people change a lot of the time. Like even when it even comes to the racist tweets, some people may not agree with me, but even when you look back to the Little Rock 5, when they're walking into the school, you see there's the 5 black girls walking into school. No, I think there's boys as well. 5 of them walking into school, and there's white people behind them shouting, protesting for them to not come in. Now, one of those black women, you see her mouth wide open, she's like, proper like that. They're good friends now. With one of the women, she's good friends with one of the women who was walking in there, and I genuinely believe that over time people can change. I'm not saying that these people who tweeted have changed. I don't know for myself, but to cancel someone over something that they've done 10 years ago, especially when they're young, I think is stupid. Now, say for example, it's maybe, I don't know, a 30-year-old, like a 30-year-old who tweeted something in their 20s. They know better. For me, that's then a bit like, if I've seen crazy development in their character, then I guess it's okay. But I think people to lose their jobs over these kind of things isn't right. And also another thing, there's a cricketer who got cancelled not long ago for tweeting. I can't remember. I think he tweeted something with the N-word in it, yeah? Now, unpopular opinion again, but I don't think he should be cancelled for it. I can't lie, I don't think he should be cancelled for it, because back then when he was tweeting it, it was actually okay. Everyone was saying the N-word. 6ix9ine is screaming the N-word in this song. Is it okay because he's Latino? He's not black. Like, it's not okay. Like, if you're gonna, don't make it, it's okay for this person, it's not okay for that person. I don't think that cricketer should have lost his job, because he was...
How long ago was this tweet?
This must have been, I think he tweeted it maybe 2014, 2013.
Well, a young cricketer?
Yeah, he's young. I can't remember exactly how old he is, but he's definitely tweeting that when he was a teenager. Some of them were even song lyrics, like maybe just a Drake song lyric. And I think you're gonna cancel him because he tweeted a song lyric. Like, I don't think that's directly being racist, unless like you're having an argument with someone who says, like F you N-word. That's different. But posting a song tweet, like, I feel like back then everyone was doing it. Whether people want to deny it or not, a lot of people were doing that. But yeah, at the same time, when it comes to things like, I guess it's all about context. If you're tweeting like cussing someone saying the N-word, then yeah, you should be cancelled. If you're being like homophobic, all of these kind of things, like, I feel like it's so unnecessary to spread hate online. It's so unnecessary, and people don't realize how much they're actually affecting other people who are reading it as well, because it's there for everyone to see. So it's sad. But I personally, my opinion is that cancel culture is straight up stupid. Because I just don't get why people are searching for it. Unless someone's doing something now, today, that's a problem, let's cancel them right now. But for something in the past, I don't get it. I'd probably get cancelled if someone went and looked back at my old tweets. I can't lie to you. I've had Facebook since I was 10 years old. I might have to go back and delete it, because I was talking stupidness when I was 10 years old. It's even like yesterday, I was on my phone looking at videos of me when I was 16. I've still got videos of me in secondary school, and I was just cussing people I don't know for no reason. I'm looking at it like, why am I don't know these people, like, why am I cussing them? Do you know what I mean? Proper just spreading hate for no reason. But that's what you do when you're young. You're just young, silly, and you mature from that. And looking at it now, I think, wow, I was an idiot. And those people who tweeted that are probably thinking, wow, I was an idiot too. So I don't really think it's fair, but
yeah. The whole cancel culture thing is wild to me. It's like a whole world within itself, and I just don't even know where to end on. Like, I don't even know what to start speaking about it, because it's so crazy. It's like, even like with this cricketer who he lost his... Yeah,
he's been suspended. I don't know if he's lost it completely, but I know he's been suspended.
Yeah, so I feel like that's a case of maybe the company didn't necessarily think he was racist, but they obviously want to cover their backs, right?
Yeah,
so they
100%.
need to just say something, be like, yo, you're suspended. because like we need to have like public assurance, and you know we just need to make sure like this community is on our side, and otherwise it's a big part of our business that's lost, and it could tarnish our reputation. So basically certain companies have to do it because to save face, and so it doesn't tarnish their reputation. But that's why I don't think that this whole cancel culture thing is just very weird as well. It's like, not only that, but you got race as well.
Exactly.
So I think if you're black, and maybe even if you're a black woman as well, like if you get cancelled, you might be hit with the hammer harder than, you know, maybe it's a white person as well, because you had the whole, you know, even like a Harvey Weinstein situation, and then recently Noel Clark, and then you also had R. Kelly and Bill Cosby in between. Obviously, R. Kelly's situation is a bit different because, you know, like there's money involved and fame and whatever in it, but like Bill Cosby's slightly older, no longer influential, doesn't really matter. You know, they cancelled him hard. You know, Noel Clark, they cancelled him quick. So it's like, not saying that they were innocent by any stretch, but like, how comes, you know, they were cancelled so quick, but then you had Harvey Weinstein that took many years to do the same thing. So it's crazy. That's why I think it depends on who it is as well, as much as like what's being said. Because sometimes depending on like who you are, like even there was a popular streamer like PewDiePie. He's like a YouTuber. He like streams video games on Twitch and YouTube videos. I think he said the N-word like a couple of years ago in a video, and I think the media tried to cancel him, but his core fans were still on his side, isn't it? So because he was so popular, they kind of, I guess they kind of eclipsed the media trying to cancel him almost. Whilst if that was probably a smaller YouTuber, who may have been a little bit less liked, it would have been game over for him. So it kind of, and then also I say even Nella Rose was even protected almost with her, you know, popularity as well. A lot of people love Nella Rose, so it was kind of easier for her to kind of get away with it, and for people to forgive her for those tweets, rather than if it was somebody else who might have said it might have taken them slightly longer to get over it. So. But cancel culture is just, I don't really like it. Like subconsciously, I don't like it because it's kind of like restricting the way people feel and what they can say online now. It's like people can't be free anymore, and it's horrible. I think it's horrible.
And I always just wonder like who's behind these accounts. Like I personally see it as like evil eye. Like you see someone doing well and whatever, and you're like, let me see what they were tweeting like 10 years ago. Like I'm just like, what possesses you to do that? And do you know how much scrolling that is? Oh my gosh, that's a whole lot of scrolling. Unless they've got some kind of app that's doing it for them, it doesn't really make sense to me. But Nella Rose, because she's so popular, she gets away with it. And I think because the way she explained it, I can't lie, I thought it was really good, because she said at the time it was trendy to basically be colorist, and it's true. Like it actually is true. And a lot of people were saying like, no, it's not saying, it wasn't like that for me, but boy, it was for me. I can't lie to you, it definitely was for me. It didn't like affect my self-esteem as much, and you know, I didn't I don't think I tweeted anything like she did, but at the same time, that's it actually. There's one thing I tweeted. It's not really incriminating because I found it funny. I'm black myself, do you know what I mean? Everyone tried to cancel Maiya for that. Put the tweet, it was like, black girls with blonde weave look like Duracell batteries. Have you seen it?
I've seen it. When was this, like last year or was it?
I don't know when she posted it, but she posted like, Lord, I went through my memories of my Facebook thing. I shared it too, and I found it hilarious.
I don't see why that's deep though.
Do you know what I mean? I'm black as well.
So deep,
I could be cussing myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna tell me? I'm colorist now? No, I love my skin. I thought it was a joke, like everyone else did, and I found it funny. It's just like Little Britain, and Come Fly With Me, both with Matt Lucas and David Walliams. Both those shows have been taken from Netflix, taken from BBC, completely axed, and they had to bring out an apology for blackface. Apology. I can't lie to you. I loved those shows. I found them funny.
Even Catherine Tate.
I love those shows, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's racist, oh, it's this, it's that. But it's not like they stuck on one people. They didn't just look at black people. They took the piss out of Asian. They took the piss out of black people. They took the piss out of they took the piss out of gay people, and
everybody.
He's gay. Like, do you know what I mean?
Like Family Guy does the same thing. South Park do the same thing. That's still running. So I think it's just political correctness. Like, people will just really quick to take people's words and whatever and be like, oh, this isn't funny anymore. But I feel like things just aren't funny. It's like Coming to America. I didn't even watch it, the new one. The new one,
because everyone was saying it wasn't funny and that, and I'm like, it's because you can't make the jokes that you used to make in the 90s anymore. Like, you can't do that anymore. So it's dry. It's just, when I watch South Park, I like to watch the old ones from like.
Even South Park's been censored for the new episodes.
Literally, so I'm just like, just watch the old ones. At least it's funny ones. You know what I mean?
It's a shame. It's a shame. This whole like PC culture and this whole new layer of sensitivity has now kind of just ascended on just the world that we're living in right now, isn't it? And it's a shame because now we can't really express our thoughts the way we want to about just marginalizing ourselves and just just thinking about a filter, innit? Because we don't want to be cancelled. We might want to get this job. We don't want to lose this opportunity. So there's a lot of things that we're thinking about. Like, we always have to think before we say certain things now because of just cancel culture and PC culture.
100%.
So I think it's only going to get worse as well. Just kind of seeing these shows being cancelled and. Just like shows from years ago, I don't understand. This was like 10, 15, 20 years ago.
And no one was offended at the time. Why is everybody offended now? Doesn't make any sense to me. I was so upset when they got taken from Netflix. I was so upset.
Like, it's a product of the time. Like, it's history. To me, that's history, innit? So it's like, even if there was like a racist film that came out 100 years ago, I think it should still be there for history's sake. So people should be able to look back at it and be like, yo, like, this was the type of films that was coming out in that period, isn't it? Because it's a reflection of the time. Little Britain, Come Fly With Me, Catherine Tate. It was a reflection of the time. And then, okay, fair enough. If it come out today, cool. You can cancel or whatever. But back then, that's just where it belonged, isn't it? That's just how it was back then. So it's just, and they were taking the piss out, as you said, every culture. So it wasn't just that they were targeting black people, gay people, or Asian people, whoever, innit? Like, everybody was getting hit with it, so everybody was in the same boat. I don't see a problem with it.
But, that's it. Gone, dusted. Comedy will never be the same.
It's a shame. It's serious. But even same comedy, Kevin Hart even came out recently, and a lot of people call Kevin Hart, what they say he's not funny, and then he kind of just defends it by saying, I sold out this many shows, I'm the highest grossing stand-up on Netflix, but it doesn't really answer to the fact that people don't think he's funny. And then also he was saying that he doesn't like how everything's sensitive nowadays. But Cat Williams came out and said that, like, if you need to be offensive, if you're only funny when you're offensive, are you really funny? So that was kind of his rebuttal to it. So it's like, it's kind of it's interesting. It's interesting still, but then again, like, you still got people like Dave Chappelle, who's very raw still with his opinions and stuff like that. So, but that could just be because people kind of hold Dave Chappelle to a higher regard than a few other comedians and stuff. But it's definitely changed the landscape of everything still, especially in like the comedy scene too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm not really into stand-up comedy, but I did see Kevin Hart's tweets. I saw that, and I couldn't really say a lot about it because I've never really watched his shows like that. I think I've seen like little snippets here and there. I think I've watched films he's in. He's in Soul Plane, right? Soul Plane. I love that film. That's a funny film. But in terms of stand-up, the only person I've actually really watched is Russell Howard. And the reason why I like Russell Howard is because he takes like current things that are happening. He basically takes the news and then takes the piss.
Yeah.
And I find that so hilarious. And it's not offending anyone. Do you know what I mean? And if he ever does offend anyone, he's not offending them to their appearance or something. Maybe they worded something wrong, or I don't know, they made a silly face and then he takes the mick out of it.
Yeah.
That's what I find funny. But yeah, like there's so many other ways to be funny without, you know, offending people. But I think that's a whole different category. That's more dark humor, innit?
Yeah.
And dark humor is my thing. I can't lie. I've got very dark humor, but it's a matter of having to change that now, because I find that obviously with my close friendship groups we can do that and no one gets offended or whatever. But in terms of outside of that, everyone's very like, whoa now. So I spend a lot of time in my head, if you saw the way my brain works, like thinking about what I'm saying properly before someone gets it's worded the wrong way, taken the wrong way, because I tend to talk very fast, but I've been working on talking slowly so I can think it through.
Dark humor. I could get into dark humor as well. I kind of like, you know, various types of humor. You get me? Like, there's no real specific one. Stand up. I kind of want like, you know, Chris Rock. Kind of like, you know, Dave Chappelle. I like Bernie Mac. Who else? I even like Ricky Gervais. You know, like, you know, when they do those award show monologues, like the starting, like Oscars, or maybe is the what's the other one? The Golden Globes, something like that. So yeah, but it feels like to me that even with those, like, they haven't really been censored. It's only like, I feel like comedy, like, they might just give it a pass sometimes because of just the nature of it.
Yeah.
But like, maybe if it's a non-comic making a joke, then, you know,
yeah, that's when
just
it's a
get more
problem.
criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah.